Heather has made her way over. Running into a little rain out there. Maybe it's
Kind of
just a few.
fog.
Yeah, a little
Just a
foggy,
little
misty.
Yeah, just enough. You got to turn the wipers on every now and then.
The irritating type of precipitation.
I would like to be at home in my house.
Snuggled
type of
up.
Precipitation. Yeah.
Yeah,
But I'm here, and that's good.
But you are here. Very good. Thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. And a Merry Christmas to you and yours. And
Yeah,
I'll say that again before we
absolutely.
get done. And Happy New Year as well. We won't see you until 2023
I know.
after this.
Isn't that crazy? We've already made it through the full year.
Fast.
It has gone fast.
Very
I would
fast,
agree. Yes.
Very fast. Well, we want to thank Heather for coming over. And she's going to deliver a different kind of Christmas gift. Yeehaw!
I know.
We got capital credit checks coming.
Capital credit checks. Yeah.
Yeehaw!
They should be in the mail within a week. I don't know the exact.
You're not delivering them personally like Santa?
That would be a lot of deliveries.
You told me you were delivering today. I just assumed
Yeah.
it's not capital credit checks.
No, it's not capital credit checks. We're doing toy drive deliveries
Oh,
to Mountain Grove today. Yep.
Different delivery.
Different type of
I
delivery.
just misunderstood.
Yeah. No, I would. That would take a long time to deliver all those checks.
Yeah, it would take you quite a while, but
We'll just use the postal
But if
service.
you use the Santa service, look
I
how
know.
many people he gets to in a short period
I
of
know.
time.
I'm not magical like he is, though.
Well, that's
Father Christmas.
I mean, you
I'm
might
like,
be. I can't. Who
I
knows?
assure you I'm not.
Okay.
But yeah, so a couple of things. We do have capital credit checks that'll be going out within a week. Those are going to be for members who had service with us in 2002 and 2003.
Okay.
Intercounty, we're paying out almost $1 million in capital credits. We're finishing up everything that is owed from 2002 and then starting in on margins from 2003. And then our transmission capital credits, those are separate, and it gets a little confusing if you don't follow the process completely, but a little over $1 million is being paid out, and that's from 98 and 99. So Show Me's on a little bit longer schedule than we are. We're about 20 years behind, which sounds a little discouraging when you're first signing on as a member that's
Right.
going to take that long. And we get that question a lot, like, why are you just now paying out 2002 and 2003? If you think back to the beginning, even though there was a profit, that money was needed to turn around and reinvest in the co-op. The co-op was growing, and that kept the co-op from having to take out loans and paying interest.
Exactly.
And that's sort of, one of our co-op principles is members' economic participation. They participate in the financial stability of the co-op, and those margins or profit, if you will, that's what the co-op is able to.
Excess revenues to be used for capital reinvestment.
Right. And we'll get it back to them.
Let's use the not-for-profit term that
Yes.
the co-op actually operates
Yes,
under.
you're exactly right. So we will get it back to you. We keep track of those. The biggest problem we have is not returning. I mean, we don't have a problem returning those. We have a problem with having accurate addresses that far out. So we all know people move, and sometimes it might just be they sell their house out of town and they move inside city limits somewhere, and they've got city utilities. If their address isn't updated with us, then they're going to end up on that list in the summer.
Oh, that
That's
list.
long and small print, and it's like, hey, people, we have money for you, but we don't know where to send it to. So make sure your address is kept up to date with us, because when it comes time to pay out the capital credits from the years that you had service,
It's your
we'll give
money.
them to you.
It's your money.
We just got to know where to send it.
And which brings up a good point. So let's just say today, let's say you're an Intercounty customer and you're moving. Maybe you're moving out of state. Maybe you're moving somewhere else. In your change of address. Now, people don't get the big change of address cards anymore.
I know.
But you should get at least one and send it to Intercounty and let them know where you're moving. Or give them an address of somebody that you know is not going anywhere, and then they can say,
Send it
okay, I
there.
want you to send in care of these people because I'm probably going to be temporarily at an address before I get my permanent home.
Yeah.
That'll work too.
Right.
As long as you send in the address, this is where you can send my check, any communication, whatever you need, and I will get it there.
Right. And even if you just call in, if you
Call's
don't want to,
easy.
if you don't want to do the form and get that sent in, if you just call, anyone who answers the phone will be able to take down your forwarding address. We'll get that updated, and then you're set. That's it.
Yeah.
Now, if you move again,
Well,
that's
that's what I
that's
mean.
usually where the problem lies. Most people, when they're moving off of Intercounty system, they're contacting us because they're disconnecting their power.
Sure.
So we get the forwarding address at that time. But if they move a second or a third time, and I understand, you don't think, well, I need to notify my utility company that I had 2 moves prior to the one I'm making now. I can see how it would be easy to forget, but if you can keep your address updated, we'll keep your capital credit
There
check
you
coming.
go. And one thing, write it down and take it and put it into a journal somewhere that's very good, important papers that you have about Intercounty. Because here's the thing. Put it in your phone, and you change phones 3, 4, 5 times before that Intercounty check's going to come to you. It's not going to be in there, and you're not going to remember. And you've moved for it, like you say, 3,
Yeah.
4 times, and all of a sudden, I mean, they're not sending you a Facebook post saying, "Hey, your Intercounty money's here.
Right.
Want it?"
Yeah.
Your
Your name is
sure.
on a long list.
Yeah, your name's on the list, and then you're thinking, "Wow, I don't want to be on that list." Well, no, you really don't.
Right. You want to be
You
getting the
want to
money.
be getting the money. That's
Right.
right. So it's a nice Christmas gift, really is.
Yeah. Very timely.
It is very nice. But again, you have to do that. You have to contact Intercounty. They can't find you if they don't know where you're at.
Yeah. Absolutely correct. And-
Even with all your Santa superpowers, you probably
Right?
can't find
Yeah. And our members, our existing members, are sometimes our best help because it's so much easier now to stay in touch than it was years ago, especially with social media. And so our members will see that list, and those are alphabetized by last name. And they go through and they look at names that, oh, well, my cousin or my neighbor, or
I know that guy.
I know that guy. Then they can get in touch with
Yeah,
them and say, hey,
sure.
your name's on this list. You need to contact Intercounty. And that's really helpful. So even if you're a member and we have your address and you're getting your capital credit check, if you don't care to scan through that list when it is published each summer, it's really helpful. And that's not a bad call or message to get. So you don't have to feel like, oh, I'm bothering them.
No, if
If you
somebody's
tell 'em
going to
they got-
send me a message and say, there's money waiting for you, I will take it.
Right? Yeah, you're not going to be upset.
Unless I was sound asleep when I got the message. But otherwise, I'll only be asleep for a very short period of time.
Yeah. Right?
It'll make it a lot sweeter when I have to wake up. Who's bothering me? Oh, money! Yes! Christmas time! Woohoo! Something like that.
Yeah. Like Christmas in July.
Christmas in July.
Because that's a summer list, but
That's true.
yeah,
But there is Christmas in July.
I know. That's why I said it.
Say it's all over the place all the time. But it's very important. Make sure you contact
Yes.
your friends at Intercounty Electric. Let them know what your address is currently. And if you know of somebody, you can't call in for them to Intercounty and say, hey, my friend lives in Tulsa. I want to give you his address, and that's where you need to send a check. That
Yeah.
won't work.
Yeah, we want to make sure we speak to the previous account holder. We'll verify identity, make sure.
Right. Contact Tulsa and say, hey, call them. Here's the
Right.
number.
Right. Yep. That's the best thing you can do.
Yeah, that's it. Very good. Or send that change of address card in. You can
Yep.
do that too.
You can.
Say, hey, I'm here.
Send me my money.
Send me my money. There's a lot of people that don't. Same thing happens with the IRS.
Just
They
unclaimed.
move on and they don't put it. It comes back. How did you not remember you pay taxes all year?
I normally remember it, but that's just,
Well, I know I remember. I know that much. But anyway, but it's the same idea.
It is,
And
yeah.
only this one usually is a few years later than one
it's
year.
delayed. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, nonetheless. But it is very important people understand the importance of what the capital credits really mean. That excess funds, we talk about different things that Intercounty has. Look at the cost of equipment today and trucks and how long it's going to take to get a truck, but
Right.
poles and infrastructure and different things that you have to do. And you think about just one transformer and insulators and on one pole, how much that costs, much less the thousands and thousands of poles you have.
Right.
Or transformer boxes that go in the ground with the underground feeders. None of that stuff's cheap, Heather.
No. In the last several years, we've seen significant cost raises. Just the price of everything in general. As a consumer, we know the price of things have gone up, and we're seeing that at the co-op, and not just the costs, but also the lead time to get the things that you need. And so that really starts to affect inventory, and you want to make sure you've got plenty in case of, we're coming into winter, and we don't like the ice word. That's kind of like a 4-letter word to the co-op, but you just don't know what Mother Nature has in store. So you got to find that sweet spot of how much should we keep in inventory, but you want to keep costs down, and you got to have enough lead time to keep it there. It takes some real strategic planning.
Well, that's what I was just going to say, because the board of directors have to think about that and trying to buy a new truck. How long a lead time do you have? It used to be you want to buy a new truck, might have been 3-4 months, maybe 5. Okay, it might be a year and a half or 2 years now. I understand for some of the ambulances, when I talked to the hospital, it was a 2-year wait.
Yes.
To get an ambulance.
Yep.
Well, okay, you guys just had a surplus sale. So when you start thinking about having surplus sales, you're thinking, wait a minute, we may have to hold on to this equipment a little bit longer.
Right.
And that's just something we just may have to hold off on rather than have our normal time of our surplus sales.
Right. You're absolutely right. And we're really seeing that, you said with the ambulance, our bigger trucks, our bucket trucks, our service trucks, you're talking years, and that's hard to plan for, which vehicles are going to need to be replaced 2 or 3 years out, and start to budget for those and get the order in. It takes some thought and some planning. Yeah.
But it also takes those funds that the co-op keeps back.
Yes.
Because you don't really know what that cost is going to be. And that's one of the things when we talk about having that available funds. Well, example, just think about when you went to the automatic meter readers, okay? And how much money that was. If you would have been paying back the profit to your co-op members all this time, when you went to do that, you'd have had to ask them to pay for that. If you didn't have any reserves there, and say, hey, guys, we're going to knock on your door. We're going to say, hey, look, we are not going to make you go out and read your meter anymore. That's great, but it's going to cost you an extra $35 a month for the next 7 months. That's not great.
Yeah. And you don't want to have to take out a loan to pay high interest, because that's our members' money. So we try to make sure that we're using funds wisely, that we're investing wisely, that we're not paying any unnecessary fees that we don't have to.
And you can buy in bulk when you have that kind of funds and you're going to need that kind of demand. I don't know how many thousands of meters those different things you had to get, but that's a lot.
Yeah.
And when you buy them, you can get a nice quantity discount,
and
which helps save the members money as well.
Yeah. And that's not something that, one day a director of engineering is going to say, hey, let's do this, and just pull the trigger. That's
It all happens in one day. Usually somebody makes that decision and say, let's do this.
No,
it has to happen.
Yeah, but
I know
the process doesn't work
it's
that
a
way.
board, but still,
But, that takes planning and budgeting, and we're going to make sure the money's there before we do something like that.
But having the funds,
you've got a good team at Intercounty.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But having the funds is key.
It is. Yes.
And that's any project Intercounty is going to look into. They're going to make sure that they have the funds before they move forward with anything. And that's one of the reasons why they hold your money until they know it's safe to give that money back.
Right.
Wow, that was such a great dissertation. That was fantastic. All right, but anyhow, capital credit checks in the mail.
Yes. So 2002, 2003, or 98 or 99.
Okay.
It's kind of a span there, and keep in mind, if your check amount, if your capital credit amount that's retired is less than $10, you will not get a check. We will wait until your amount meets or exceeds the $10 minimum, unless it's your final payout.
Right.
And then the check will be cut. But kind of just helps with cost. Going back to, we want to make sure we're spending your money wisely.
Envelope,
It takes a lot to
stamp,
print and
check.
mail the
Yeah.
check and
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
So keep that in
Okay.
mind. But you can always give our office a call and check. Hey, I think I started service in 2003. Can you check? Well, am I going to get a check? Should I be watching my mail? And we can let you know. Not a big deal.
Heather's not going to drop it off, so watch the
No.
mail.
I know, right?
I know you'd rather have Heather drop it off. Personal service, can't beat it, but oh well. I mean, she's got these toys to deliver today first, so you
Yeah,
know.
so-
Otherwise, she probably would be doing it.
So let's talk about that real quick.
Okay, let's talk about that.
We have been doing a toy drive this month, and we've got barrels set up at our Rolla, our Licking, and our Mountain Grove offices, and we've been collecting for the last several weeks. And we'll collect through the 15th. Now, Mountain Groves, we're going to sort and deliver today. Their program, they delivered those gifts on the 15th, so we've had to kind of readjust the schedule a little bit.
Yes, get a little tight.
Yeah. So little different there, but it's been really great. We've seen a lot of support from the community, people coming in, dropping off toys, and those are going to go to different organizations kind of around the office areas that give to children that are in foster care.
I see.
So those gifts will be dispersed. We don't have any control over who they go to, but
Sure.
we'll give to the organization, and then they make sure that the kids that need those
I think
will-
it's a great
will get in
cause.
the right hands. But first year we've done that.
Yeah, because
and,
I didn't see it in anything.
It was one of those last minute, hey, let's do this.
It does
But,
happen.
but it didn't cost any money, so we can do that.
Well, I get it. I mean,
Yeah, but that was sort of a, hey, why aren't we doing this? We could be a
because
collection
nobody
point.
else was doing it, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's other toy drives and Angel Tree. You know, we were talking about different organizations that do similar things this time of year, but we just thought
Probably
we've
not
got
just
3
for
locations.
foster kids.
Right, we've got 3 locations. We could be a drop-off point. We can get that into the hands of organizations that they could then disperse it. So, if you haven't seen those barrels, you don't know about it, and you've got some toys, or you'd like to donate to a cause and you haven't already, just know that we've got barrels at the different offices, and we'll take those collections
Fantastic.
and get them dispersed.
So
Kind of a
how
short-
late could
short
they still
timeline.
drop something off?
Until the 15th. And really, if
Okay.
you're in the Mountain Grove area and you're listening and you take it to Mountain Grove and drop it
I
off,
don't think they're going to get us in Mountain Grove.
yeah, I don't think they are either. But if something is delivered by the 15th to Mountain Grove, what we would do is just have one of the guys bring those to the Licking office, and we'll split it up between the Licking and the Rolla.
So don't drive all the
Organizations.
way to Mountain Grove. Just
Don't
drop
drive-
it off to
yeah.
Licking or Rolla.
Yeah.
It'd be easier enough.
Right.
If you want to help, if you have that feeling and think, I tell you what, anybody that can work with the foster kids on a continual basis and give them the opportunity to make it feel like home.
Mm-hmm.
It's anything you can do to make that happen. It's worth the time.
Yes, absolutely.
It really is. That's a good program.
It is.
I'm
I think we're
impressed.
gonna-
You guys are
we're
doing
gonna
good.
Do this each year, kind of be something that we start this
Well,
year.
maybe
and-
we'll help you next year.
That would
now
be
that
fabulous.
we know
I know. We'll put something in the paper and
you can
magazine.
put your barrel here,
Oh, that would be wonderful.
or we can find another place for you to put your
Yeah.
barrel. So
Yeah.
we'll work with you.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Wonderful.
Our Salem
Yep.
people are good about that.
Yeah.
They really are. They're really good about that. So, anyway, so very best of luck with all that
Thank
and
you.
finishing that up, and a great program. I really like that program. That's
Yeah.
a good one.
Yeah, one of those. It's going to be a feel-good day, so we need
And you got
those.
Roundup today too.
We have Roundup today.
How
Speaking
many
of-
just off that you helped was it double digits last month?
Yes,
That
we
got
did.
helped?
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, there's not really a pattern.
No.
For a long time, we had trouble getting
One or
applications
two.
for assistance
Yeah.
in, and we were kind of confused. Do people not know about the program? Is there not a need? Are people doing okay? Are there other assistance organizations that maybe have more funding and so they're able to help more? But then we see months where we have just a huge number of applications
And
come
that
in.
was last month.
Yes. So, not really a reason. I don't have a reason to explain for that, but
No.
it was great to see so much assistance being put out into the communities, and that's something that we want to stress. This money does stay local. If you would look at a map of Intercounty's service area and you look at those outermost boundaries, anyone within those, whether they're on a city utility or not, as long as they're within those outermost boundaries, they're eligible to apply for assistance.
There you go.
Anyone outside of that is not. So we get asked a lot, if I round up my bill, you're going to send it to families in Kansas City or St. Louis or Springfield. And no, that's not how the program works. It does stay local. Intercounty, our time and work is sort of Intercounty's contribution to the program. We don't take any administrative fees out of the donations that are coming in from bills being rounded up. So 100% of what is rounded up goes back out to the community. And it's just a really great program, sort of funded by members, supporting members.
Wow.
And we just administer the program, really. But without our member support, we wouldn't have Roundup.
Right. And even though the demand might have been light for those couple of months or 3 months, you saw that it is not a forgotten program.
Right.
Was it 12 that you had in November?
Yeah.
I think it's 12.
I think it was I think it was a dozen.
Was it 12?
No, 10.
10.
We had
I
10.
knew it was double digits. I just don't remember how many.
And that was in October. And then last month we had 7. So still good. And we're nearing 18,000 accounts on Roundup, which is huge. I think that just speaks volumes about our members and their willingness to serve and to help. And, we talk about how easy it is, and you don't notice it because you just round it up. And maybe there's some people out there that just do it for the ease. But I think people want to help. And how can you or I help someone one month
35 cents.
Yeah, with a couple of quarters. But when that gets added up with almost 18,000
Yeah, you
other
got
people,
18,035 cents. You got a good
it starts to make a difference. And then when somebody kind of goes through a rough spell, and we've talked about this before, when the transmission goes out is also when the furnace starts acting up, which is also when
a kid gets sick.
When a
and
kid
the
gets sick
prescriptions are $700 for each one.
right.
Some
Sometimes
crazy stuff like that. It
just
happens.
It does. It absolutely does. And that's sort of that's the real reason behind Roundup, is that we know there are times in everybody's lives where you just kind of need a little bit of help. And that's what Roundup's for. It's not a program that you get on and you stay on and there's a monthly contribution to some sort of bill. It's a one-time assistance. Life's dealt me an awful hand this month, and I could use a little bit of help getting back on my feet. And that's
Keep
what
hitting
the program's
snake eyes with a dice, man. It's just something's wrong here.
Right. Yeah.
But anyway, if you aren't a contributor to Roundup, it's easy. It's on your bill. You can just put a little check mark in the box, and you will become a member. If you are on levelized billing, you will get rounded up $1.
Right. And that's the
And
most
that's the
it would be.
max per month. You're going to get $12 a year is it.
And then anyone just on standard billing,
Right.
then it's going to be different each month. It
It won't
averages.
be 12.
It won't be 12.
It could be 11.88.
Right.
It won't
But
be 12.
it rounds your bill up. So if your bill was $101.20, it would round up 80 cents that month to the next nearest dollar, and you'd have a $102 bill. 80 cents is on the higher end. You might
Yeah,
have
it
a month
is.
where it's only you only
3 cents.
12, or I think I had one month where it was like 12 cents.
I think my average has been right around $6. That over a period of year, it
Yeah.
usually comes out to pretty close to 6. So did you get the answer to my question from last time?
What was your quote?
No, we haven't got to that part yet. We'll get there in just a second. But
Were you asking about how much Intercounty
no
Roundup has given out?
No.
Oh, no. This was several months ago, actually. I think I was supposed to answer that question
You were.
the month that Tony was here.
You were.
And now I can't remember the question.
Well, no, I did ask over a year how much does Roundup actually give out? Overall, the total amount.
We've given out more than $1 million. Since the
Since
beginning of the
beginning. I meant average on a year. Every year is going to be different.
Yeah.
Because every year is a different situation. And
Well,
costs
after
go
we
up.
meet today, we can give you the exact total of what we gave out in
I
2022.
don't need it today. I needed it now. But
I know. I failed.
no, well, no, you weren't here that one day. So anyway, but no, that wasn't the question. Actually, I have another different question because
Okay.
there's a number of different ways that you can pay your bill.
There is.
That's what I was getting to. And one of those, obviously, with levelized billing, is making it easy on you. And our levelized billing question that we had last month is, can businesses do a levelized bill? And you wrote it down.
And I forgot. Oh, Stan just put me on the spot.
But you actually wrote
I
it
did write
down.
it down. I did.
Yeah. That's why I thought for sure you'd have that answer. And you don't. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, that's
Santa's
fine.
going to take away that brand new wagon he was going to give you.
You know technology, though. I can probably have the answer by the end of the
that's
program.
well, yeah,
oh, no.
that's fine. I mean, but it was just something because somebody had asked me, and I said, I don't know. I never asked for it. And so, I mean, I'm on Intercounty, and you would think maybe a business would do that. It'd help with budgeting.
It would.
So I just don't know. But it does help you with your budgeting. So if you want to do, here's the easy way. You can get levelized billing and always have your bank account, have it taken out of your bank account, and you never have to do anything. Well, isn't that nice?
It's a nice combination of programs to be
yeah.
able to know what your bill's going to be every month and know that it's going to be taken out of your bank account on a specific day. It really takes the work out of paying your bill.
Worrying about it.
Right.
Because you don't have to worry about it. You know your electric's not going to get shut off. And then if you get a call and somebody says, we're going to shut off your electric, you can laugh at them.
Because yours is set up to just take care of itself.
Yes, when I report you to the police, you're going to know I'm laughing at you. But anyway, but nonetheless. But it's one of those things that you can simplify your payment. You can also make your payment online. You can do that. You can do that through Smart Hub. It's easy. Did that last night. Paid my bill on Smart Hub last night. Or you can just make a one-time payment on the Intercounty Electric site.
You can't.
You don't even have to go into Smart Hub.
No, you don't have to have an account. It is much easier just to have a Smart Hub account.
It
but
is.
We've got members that had requested, hey, can you just do a pay now, like a one-time payment? And that is an option we have now. So we've really seen an increase in our Smart Hub payments. You can still mail the bill in.
Sure.
There's still several banks that you can make a payment at. We have the automated pay by phone line that has really sort of grown in popularity, especially with our prepay accounts, because it's really easy just to call and you can get an account balance. So you sort of, that's kind of like your gauge. You can see how
See where
much
you
you've got
stand,
left.
yeah.
And so that pay by phone line gets used quite a
I need
bit.
to get you a water.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine.
You sure?
Yes, absolutely. But
That hostess.
I know, Melba. Yeah. But there are a number of options, and however works best for you. But and then we've always got our offices.
Sure.
And we still have
Drop
foot
off
traffic. Yep.
Sure, absolutely. If you're out and about that area, I'll tell you what, maybe you're dropping off a toy or something at the licking office today, and you've got your bills due. I know mine was due, so you can drop it off.
You could drop off a toy, pay your
and
bill,
the bill,
and let us know. We can add your account to Roundup.
if you're not already.
If you're
on
not
it.
already on it, right.
There you go. Well, that's
We had a
just
lot
like
of
the
things done today.
trifecta right there.
I know.
Holy cow.
That'd be a good visit.
That would be a great visit. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. But if you're already on Roundup, nothing
Thank
wrong.
you.
Nothing wrong with a twofold purpose to go there either.
Yeah.
If you just happen to be in the area. But if you want to help donate again, those barrels are at Rolla and in Licking.
Till the 15th.
And if you have any questions about the type, how you want to pay your bill, call them. There are numerous ways to do it. Whichever is the ones that make it best for you, you can still pay at your bank.
Right.
You know, you can still make that check and take it to the bank. But follow it through, because I want to tell you something. Every now and then something falls through the cracks. Anymore with the mail, you never know. But anymore even with some of the financial institutions, I'm not saying anything bad about them, but sometimes when they're processing things, they get stuck together. And it doesn't get processed. And
You want to make sure.
You
And
want-
if you've got Smart Hub, you can get on
Oh, yeah.
and see if the payment was processed or not, or what your balance is, when it was paid.
Right.
All of that you can see on Smart Hub.
And one of the other neat things about Smart Hub is you can check your usage. And this is actually such a nice tool to use because you can see if you've added a pool, you can see in the summer months where your usage goes up. That should be coming back down. Hopefully it is.
Yeah. If
Unless
not,
you got
there
a
may-
heck of a lot of Christmas lights out there.
Well,
a lot of generators.
Yeah.
But
And
I
I've
mean,
seen some really beautifully
Oh, I have
decorated
too.
homes and yards this year, which is really nice to see.
But LED lights cut back a little bit on the electric. But if
They
you
do.
got spotlights out there now, some of those old spotlights, they still suck that electricity.
Yeah.
So, make sure. But if you do have compressors or any inflatables, you're not getting a discount on those. Those are going to cost you a little bit extra because they have compressors to generate air to blow in to keep them inflated.
Right. And those, if it's on, it's using. That's with anything. But yeah,
But
those
they're cool.
They are. They're really nice looking. They are.
So if you're doing that, but you can keep your eye on your usage right on Smart Hub, and you can do that. And it's really a nice tool. And then if you say, you know what, we're turning that thing off at 10 o'clock, you can.
You can.
You
Yeah.
can see what difference it's going to make. Yes, absolutely. It's a fantastic tool. If you have issues in trying to sign up for Smart Hub, just call Intercounty. They can walk you right through it. Really is easy.
It is, and it's a great tool to have. And we've seen more and more of our members use Smart Hub to report their outages, which is a great feature of that. A couple of things I want to point out with that. There's a place when you go to report your outage to put your phone number in, and we really encourage you to do that. I think it'll let you submit your outage without that. But if you would please just make sure you're putting your phone number in there, because just like addresses changing, phone numbers change even more frequently. And what we see happen sometimes is that we think we've got the power back on. We want to call the member, hey, you reported an outage. We're just making sure the power's back on. But if we can't get a hold of you, then we've got to send somebody out. Just kind of makes it a little bit easier on our end. And then the other thing that we see occasionally, this isn't a huge problem, but Stan, let's say you've got a parent that calls you and says, my power's out. Can you report it for me? And if you use your Smart Hub to report your mom and dad's outage,
Then it go to me.
then your Smart Hub account is linked to your location,
Right.
and then our dispatch center gets a report that power's out at your location, and all of a sudden we think we have a new outage. And if you don't have a good phone number on, then we can't even call you.
Yeah.
So make
Oh,
sure
yeah.
if you're using Smart Hub to report outages that you're using it to report yours only, and then make sure that you put your phone number in there.
Yeah, very good. That's good. That's good
Yeah,
advice.
but it's
Very-
nice,
very good
especially
advice.
in a larger scale outage. We only have so many phone lines that come in, and we don't want our members to have to wait
Right.
on hold, and they don't want to be on hold either. So using Smart Hub is it's a convenient option.
Well,
Just
I'm-
make sure you're using it correctly.
Right, and I'm sure you heard with the outage, not this past weekend, but the weekend before, when we had the squirrel, and it wasn't a Mississippi squirrel, but it definitely was a fried squirrel by the time it was all said and done. But it did a lot of damage, and things that were in place to keep the backfeeding from happening didn't work. And so Intercounty got a little zapped
Yeah.
in a few areas there. Not everywhere, but
Yeah.
some areas got a little bit of a backfeed there. And we talk about that even when we start talking about generators, how dangerous that can be. And oops, happened.
Yeah.
That was a show me power problem.
I was going to say that was
Yeah,
was a
but-
show me deal, kind of wait for the guys from Show Me to get down. But we're really fortunate at Intercounty. We have an incredible group of linemen that are just super dedicated to their jobs,
Sure.
and we really see them shine when outages happen. And I know that
Oh,
seems
yeah.
a little, it's not that they like it, but they really just excel when they're needed and they get out there, and those guys are dedicated. They're not
Yeah.
going to go home
Oh.
until they get it back on. And just know that if your power's out and you've reported that, they're going to be out there and they're going to get it turned back on as safely and as quickly as possible. They
Yeah.
want to be back homes with their families
Sure.
too. So
But there's a process in getting power back on.
Right.
It's not like you're the only one on the whole block that's out. There's either a transformer, or there could be a down line, there could be something else.
And
they have
sometimes-
to work from the source where it stops working, and they have to work back toward you.
Right. And sometimes we don't know when we first get the call.
Yeah.
What is the cause? First they got to find it, and
Right.
then they can work to fix it. But they're a great group of guys, and they will get your power back on, and they're going to do it as quickly as they can and as safely as they can. So just rest assured, if you've called in and reported it,
That's right.
they're not going to wait until normal business hours to get out there and do it. They're on call to do that.
It might
anytime.
rain. I'm not going to get out there. It might rain.
Yeah, I don't know that they'd be cut out for the job if that was how they
Well,
felt.
I tell you what, some of the conditions I've seen them out there, and
They've
I'm
got to be
sorry.
miserable.
Yeah, well, and we had those ice storms especially, and you're out there and it's cold, it's freezing. Just to get a vehicle back in there to get some work done, almost impossible. You guys are crazy, but they do it, and they
Yeah.
go back there and they get up on those poles and those icy lines, and you guys are nuts.
Yeah,
But they know what they're doing,
they do.
and they do it, and they do a great job. So
Absolutely.
won't hear any complaints from me about that.
Me either.
I tip my cap to those guys. And yeah, when it's a sunny day and it's beautiful and they're out there, they probably enjoy that. That's
Yeah.
probably not a bad day.
No.
They're out there in the pouring
That's a
rain.
good day at work.
Obviously, safety is still number one. On
Always
those
number
guys.
one.
Always number one. So want to make sure that. Always number one. One of the things that we've always tried to tell you this time of year is to start thinking about how to start saving money for the winter. We talk about insulation, we talk about different things. We always seem to talk about space heaters and things of that nature. Guys, have a plan. If your insulation is getting a little thin, I know now is not the perfect time to go do insulation. But think about these things before the wintertime gets to you fully. We have not really experienced many cold days yet.
Right. We've got a lot of winter left.
Oh,
so
we got
if
a
you
bunch. We
need-
haven't even hit winter yet.
No, and
It
if
actually
you
starts next week.
if you need insulation in your attic space, that's one of the best ways to make sure that you're keeping the heat that your heating system, whether it's electric or propane or natural gas, whatever your heat source is, you want to keep that in. And heat rises, we all know that, and we've seen neighborhoods where you've got homes with snow on the roof and then homes with no snow on the roof. And
You want to have snow on the
you
roof.
want to have snow on your roof because that means your insulation is that you've got good insulation and the heat staying in your home and not escaping out through the attic space and the roof.
And it's a great way to also find gaps.
It
when
is.
you have snow that hits your roof and all of a sudden there's 3 or 4 spots on your roof. Doesn't have any snow. You're getting some heat going right to those spots. Guarantee it. It's not because the shingles are hot
Right. Yeah, no.
or the
that's-
metal roofing. That's not it. Actually, it's a little harder to detect with metal roofing
It is.
because the metal will spread that heat out quickly. But it is still there, and you can check. And just what
Mm-hmm.
Heather's saying, you want snow on the roof if you get snow. You definitely want that up there.
Because if the heat's staying in your home, then your heating source is running less often, which
Well-
helps with your cost.
But one thing we want to remind everybody: you may have sprayed-in insulation in your attic. You
Mm-hmm.
may have rolled-in insulation, and that's all great. And I know when you put it in there, it's nice, good 3 inches thick. It's sturdy and stuff. 10 years later, it's not so thick and sturdy anymore. It's
settles.
shrunk down, and it has compressed. The air gets worked out. It gets a little bit moist up there from the change in the conditions, and it compacts. You may need to re-add insulation. Don't be afraid to do that. Don't say, well, I've done it now. I'm done.
Not a one and done thing.
It's not a one and done thing. And that means your walls too.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that. Now, a lot of times you can't go right back in your walls and pull all the drywall down and put new insulation up. But as Heather was mentioning, your heat rises straight up. It doesn't go through your walls, but it does go. The outside effect comes through your walls. That's the big
Yeah.
thing there.
Yeah,
However, heat is going to go to the ceiling
right.
every single time. So make sure that if you haven't checked that insulation up in your attic in quite some time, and there may still be some people that will get out there and do that right now, but think about it as long as the weather is decent, they can get in there and do it. They can probably go ahead and still spray in some insulation in there. But think about that. There also are a number of different programs available to help you, like LIHEAP and things of these natures. That's not inter-county based, but they understand these things. And if you can't afford insulation, you can't afford those windows that are single pane and leaking all around, they can help you out with those programs. Call the South Central Community Action Agency. You have their office is on Wine Street here in Salem. You can also go to Winona if you want to. Go down there and you can find out all the information. But get some information. It can help save you some money and save you more money with your heating and cooling bills later on.
Yes, and those savings do add up. If you are able to add that insulation in your attic, you're going to save on your heating costs. If you're able to, even if you can't replace your windows, if you can plastic those, if you can put plastic over those and keep that air from infiltrating your home, the hot air from going out, the cold air from coming in, that's going to keep you, number one, more comfortable, but also it's going to help that furnace not run as often. So little things, in the summertime we talk about caulking your windows. It's not warm enough to do that right now.
It has to be 55 or above.
But, weather stripping around your doors, all these things we talk to you about throughout the year, even if you do one or two things every now and then, and you're just constantly improving that building envelope, you're going to start to see some savings, and you're going to be more comfortable in your home.
And don't forget your crawl spaces now either, because just the same thing. I actually had my crawl space insulated, and it worked wonders. Well, yeah, that was like 14 years ago, and I'm thinking,
Probably needs to be
done again. Now, it's not going to be this guy crawling back underneath there, but it's needed, because people don't realize you need to also think about making sure you got plastic if you have earth underneath your house.
Have some sort of vapor barrier.
You don't want to have, first off, the earth has little critters in it sometimes that like to crawl up like termites. They like to crawl through there, and they get up in there. You can't see them. You don't even know they're there. But if you do put a vapor barrier in there, it does keep your air more consistent, and that ground temperature does not change, and moisture level will stay down as well,
which is good.
Keep a lot of different things going good for you, and it can really help you in the long run. So a lot of good ideas, but this is a good time to do it. Now, if you're going to get somebody a space heater for Christmas, what a great Christmas gift. Heather's cringing.
I'm cringing. So I'll say this.
Now, sometimes they're needed.
Space heaters have their place.
They do.
We've had a lady actually just last year when we were talking about space heaters, she called in after one of our radio programs, and she said, I have a space heater in my bathroom, and I use it every morning when I get up and shower so that I don't turn my heat up in my whole house. And it runs for 15 or 20 minutes, and then I turn it off.
Great.
In that situation, that saves her money, because she's not bumped her thermostat. She's not heating the whole house more than what it needs to be. She's using it just as a kind of for spot heat temporarily.
Short term.
Yes, it serves its purpose in that way. What the problem is, where we see the problem is where members decide to use space heaters, and I use that in the plural form because there are instances where we have members who are using multiple, as in 4, 5, 6 space heaters throughout their entire home, and it's replaced their heat source. Whether that be because they don't have something, or because the furnace has gone out, or whatever the reason may be. Those space heaters are expensive to use. They cost a lot. If it's a 1,500 watt heater, it doesn't matter if it was advertised to you as being an efficient space heater or a pennies a day space heater. These marketing tactics they're clever, but a 1,500 watt heater is a 1,500 watt heater, no matter how much you paid for it or how nice it's supposed to be.
Whether it looks like a table or just looks like a stand-up heater.
Yes.
It's the same thing.
Yes, you're absolutely right. So if you're using all of those, first of all, you're gonna definitely see an increase in your electric bill. But there's also a huge safety factor when it comes to having those plugged in. Those are open heating elements, and there's fire risk, and we certainly do not want to see any of our members lose their home or worse to fires from space heaters.
Newer ones are better.
Safety features have come a long way.
I mean,
Yes, I would agree
We
with
all
that.
remember the single
Don't touch your leg to
orange
it.
line going through there, and you can put your hand right in there and grab that sucker if you wanted to. Like, why would you? It's got to be getting hot when you get close. But
If
people
it's
used to get
orange,
burned.
it's hot.
But also the surrounding part of it would be metal to radiate the heat. Well, that's going to be dang
It's
gone
all hot.
Yeah.
You don't touch it.
Nowadays you have them looking like tables, and they're generating heat, but you're not getting any surrounding heat off that. It's just wherever you're blowing it, that's where you're getting the heat.
Yes, so safety features have come a long way. Most of them, I say most of them, I think all of them that are manufactured now have to have the tip feature, but
Yep.
you might have some of the older ones, I'm not sure. But even the newer, safer ones, please just make sure that you're not leaving those running when you leave home or when you go to sleep. And I know they may be advertised as an end table, but I just can't help but say, please give them space. Don't have a stack of newspapers next to them or bumped up next to your drapes or your bedding. Just, that's a heating element.
Right.
And you got to make sure you're using those safely if you're using them.
And make sure if you're putting it as an end table that you don't have it up against the drape. There is an air filter that goes in those as well, those decorative ones.
They need to breathe.
You need to have it breathe. And for you to get any air to blow out of there, you need to have air to get in the back. So it needs that air to heat to blow out.
Yes.
And if you stop the suction of that air coming in,
You got problems.
you're going to have a heating element that's just burning right next to you, and you're not getting much heat out there. Like,
Yeah.
man, it's still cold in here. I don't know why that curtain's pulling away from the wall, though. Yeah, you do. It's not allowing it to breathe. So if it can't breathe, it can't throw that air out. You're defeating the purpose. Short-term use, great, fantastic. Emergency use, great,
Yes.
fantastic. If your
Right.
furnace should go out and you have nothing else.
And the furnace repair guy is
right.
not going to be here till tomorrow.
Right.
Right. We
So-
understand they serve a purpose in certain instances. But if you found yourself in a position where you're needing to use those for a permanent heat source, please reach out because we talked about Roundup earlier. Maybe it's something Roundup can help with.
Oh, you bet.
There are other assistance organizations that maybe can help with different things. Maybe they couldn't help with your furnace repair bill, but maybe they could help with your electric bill that month while you're waiting on the furnace to get
Well,
repaired.
And here's the thing, too. You already talked about it with Intercounty. Your furnace may go out, and they may not be able to get parts.
That's
and
right.
That is a very big thing anymore.
Right. Yeah.
And even some of them, they can't even replace them because the size furnace they may need for your home, they may not have in stock, and it may take them 2 to 3 weeks to get one in.
Yeah.
Again, availability is totally different today than it used to be.
Yeah. But don't just sit at home and think that your only solution this winter is
No.
to have the space heaters because we want to be able to help you. We want to be able to point you in the right direction. We don't want to see you struggle with a high electric bill from all the space heater usage, and we certainly do not want you and your family to be at risk for a fire.
Sure. And please do not use any oil-based heaters in your home.
Yes.
But in conjunction with that, I want to jump right away because it is winter. We do notice sometimes we get ice storms, and we have people out there that like to start their generator, put it inside their house so it'll run nice and warm, and you're getting a lot of carbon monoxide off that. You don't want to do that. Don't want to put it in a garage without air going through there. You can
No.
put it on the garage, but make sure you got air going through.
Yeah.
But
if you've got the
you're
garage
just as
door
good.
open,
You
but-
know what? It's an engine. Leave it outside. It's
Yeah.
not hurting anything. You know what? It's getting hot.
Yes.
It's not cold out there. So
No.
it's going. You may have to fill it with gas. If you have backup generators, we actually have one that runs on propane out at our transmission site. So we have that one. So if the electric should, for whatever reason, go off, it kicks on. And so we are still on the air, and we still have that power. As long as we have propane, then we're good to go. But remember, every source that you have, you've got to make sure. If you've got a propane backup, you better make sure you have propane in your tank. You don't want to get there with 3%, and all of a sudden electric goes off, and you're making the phone call, hey, I need propane. Well, it might be everybody else in town needs propane, too. You may be on
Yeah.
tail end of getting that. So
Yeah.
always be prepared for the winter. We talk about it all the time. Even your generators right now to get
The plugs,
the
the
plugs.
Generlink.
I think Tony even said they were on back order. Were to have that. Has that situation improved?
It's about the same. It stayed
Okay.
about the same,
So they're getting in a few here and there, and that's
Yes.
it.
And it's important to let us know if you've got a generator because we want to have something at your home, whether it's one of the Generlink devices that goes behind your meter for the smaller generators, or a double throw switch, or a transfer switch for the larger generators. We've got to have it there because first and foremost, it keeps our guys safe. When they're out there working on the line, you were talking about backfeed earlier, we want them to all go home at the end of the day, and they want to go home. And to do that safely, we need our members to cooperate and let us know. If you've got a generator, you got to let us know so we can get it hooked up to something that will keep those guys that are working back on the line safe. But also it helps protect things in your home, whatever you have hooked up to it. When that power comes back on, we don't want your appliances damaged, and that protects your stuff at home too.
Very well said. So also, keep in mind when the winter time comes, please be careful. We all know accidents can happen. And if they do happen and you hit a pole and that line comes down, remember, you may not see it and maybe sitting in the snow and you think, well, it's not melting the snow, it must not be on.
Yeah,
No,
that's not always the case.
don't try to be a hero. First off, if you see a line come down and hit the ground, hit the concrete, hit a pole, or just laying down anywhere near you, stay in the car.
If you hit
you can.
If you hit a pole, even if you don't see a line down, I would say stay in the vehicle because.
Well, I mean, if you just tap one, what I'm talking about is
if you hit a
pole and there's damage, stay.
just wait. Yeah. The only time you should exit the vehicle is if it's on fire, and then you have to be careful how you exit.
You better jump.
You better jump because you don't want to be touching the vehicle and the ground at the same time. You become path to ground, and that electricity will go through you, and you may have survived the vehicle accident, but the electrocution you may not.
But
and
if we get ice on the roads, Heather, you know it can happen.
it happens every year. I mean, even this weekend we had a vehicle accident involving a power pole, and we had outages because of it. And I get it, your instinct, I was in a wreck, am I okay? How bad is it? I got to get out of the vehicle. Take just a second and process what just happened. Stay in your vehicle, contact emergency services, and let Intercounty get out there. Like I said, if the vehicle's on fire and you have to get out,
different story.
Jump and shuffle away. But don't hang on to the
Don't
side
hang on
of
to
the
the car.
vehicle frame and step out.
And it could hurt when you jump because if you're in a car accident, you're probably going to be a little bit dazed. Mm-hmm. You could be injured. And when we're talking about, you think about when you're healthy, jumping out of a car, how much that might hurt anyway.
Right.
If you're hurting, if you break a wrist or whatever, and you have to get out of that vehicle because it's on fire, again, it's going to take a lot of concentration to do this if you hit that pole.
Yeah. And that's why we talk about this so much, is because if you're in that situation, we want you to remember. We want your first thought to be stay in the vehicle, and your next thought, if I have to get out, I better hop. I better jump.
I thought it was Stan and Heather talking on the air. I want to remember that because
I'm
is
sure
why
they
we're
do.
doing this, because these things do happen, and this is the time of year. And it may not be any fault of your own. You hit some ice, you hit a patch of ice, the next thing you know, you're driving along just fine. You're paying attention. You're doing everything right, and something can still go wrong, and you can hit that pole. And that's all we're trying to say is this: we want you to be listening in next time we get together. So please be careful.
Yes.
And when if you have to jump from that vehicle, jump. If you just touch the vehicle or pole and you're just leaning up against it, you're fine. You can get out. But if you hit that pole and there's damage to the pole and it's leaning or toppled or whatever, or lines have come down, you need to be extraordinarily careful trying to get out of that car.
Yeah.
And I mean extraordinarily careful. So definitely want to watch out for that. I don't have anything else.
I'm going to give a sneak peek, if you will. We'll talk about Youth Tour next month, real heavy.
Wow.
But we have a topic.
Oh, you got a topic
We
now?
do have a topic. Yes.
And it is?
We're going to ask the students to write about if they had unlimited funds, how would they help their community? What would they do to help their community if they had access to unlimited funds? I'm really excited to see how these students would spend time and money for their local communities. What would they do? What, are we going to...
interesting.
I think so. I think so. Are their ideas going to be all over the place? Is there going to, is this going to uncover a community need that's not filled that these kids recognize? I don't know.
Or are they clueless?
And think everything's fine.
Yeah. I mean, about what's going on in their community. A lot of kids don't pay much attention to the news sources. And so they may really not know what's going on. But again, I can try to tell you at 13 or 14, I probably didn't care either.
Yeah. Well, these are 15, 16
Well, I
year
mean,
olds.
but you know what I mean. As you're growing older, until something hits you, you really don't really seem to notice it. Then all of a sudden, it's like a power opens your eyes. Like there really is a lot of stuff that really needs a little help.
Maybe it'll just bring awareness, even if
unlimited funds, though.
Unlimited funds.
If
you
that
had
makes it a
access
little bit more interesting.
to unlimited funds, what would you do to help
just
your community?
won $1 billion in the lottery. What would I do?
Yeah. So we'll see. But we do have the school scheduled. We're going to be speaking to the students in January after Christmas break. We'll be in each of the schools. So if you have a junior, just know that we will be in contact with them at the school.
We expect 20 out of Salem this year.
If we could have 3, that would be
No,
amazing.
I want 20.
And we wouldn't know if we had 20 or if there were 3 because the school narrows it down to the top 3. But
I'm greedy. I want 20.
yeah, I would love that. I would love that. But this is an opportunity just for high school juniors. And they could win a free trip to D.C. or to Jeff City. And we'll talk about those in length next month. But not just the opportunity of the trip itself, but there's so much afterwards. I mean, it sparks in these kids interests that they didn't know they had.
Right.
Helps them get out of the area.
And they can ask me to go.
They could, but they probably won't. Here I'm letting stand down again. But, these kids are getting ready to go into their senior year. Something like this looks really good on college applications or scholarship applications. Even if the students decide to go straight into the workforce after school, that helps them stand out on their resume.
Absolutely.
Part of the process is an interview at Intercounty once they make a finalist. For a lot of these kids, that's their first interview. And if they can get their nervous jitters out on us for this essay contest so that they can just make a home run in their next interview when it's for a job that they really want, then we're glad to be able to help that way too.
And these judges know it's their first interview more than likely. They know they're going to be a little bit jumpy.
Yeah.
Edgy.
And
nervous.
Most years, these judges, we have 3 volunteer judges, and most of the time they're retired school teachers. They get it. And we hear every year when they come out of the interview, I don't know what I was nervous for. That wasn't so bad. Like, they're anxious before. And we know that, and the judges know that. But
you're always that way
it's
going into a job interview, whatever. You don't know what somebody's going to ask you. And then when you finally get through it, that sigh of relief is there because you're through it. But then you find out really wasn't all that bad.
Yeah.
But then you wonder if you answered the questions right. I mean, there's always going to be that question because you want to win. I want to win the trip to D.C. I mean, nothing wrong with going to Jeff City. That's great too. But D.C. and still D.C.
And to help encourage the kids a little bit more to go on these trips because we see, especially with Jeff City, and the D.C. trip is the top prize, and that's what you're aiming for. But we see a lot of times the students that win the Jeff City trip, they just don't go. Whether they're disappointed they didn't win or they're not making it a priority. It's an amazing experience. It really, really is. And we want to sweeten the deal, if you will. We are going to give the students that go on the trip cash.
Wow.
So we're going to give the DC winners a $200, I don't know if they're going to do cash or a Visa card or how they're going to do it. DC's really going cashless, a lot of the places. So it might be more practical to give those students a Visa card that they can use while they're out there. But the Jeff City trip's a $100 bill. When you show up for the trip and you go, $100. So hopefully that'll get the kids that do win the Jeff City trip to go and experience it, and they're going to be grateful that they went once they get there, regardless
Absolutely.
of the money.
There's
But
there's a neat stuff in Jeff City.
it's a really good program. They
Yeah.
learn about the co-ops. They learn about our state government.
Right.
Last year they took a tour of the Missouri State Penitentiary.
And that's great. I've been on that. That's a good tour.
Yeah, so we want them to have fun while they're there too.
And lock them up.
We do not lock them up.
Oh.
But that's coming up in January.
But if they don't go, maybe they should lock them.
We wouldn't have them there to lock them up.
Get them arrested.
Yeah.
for not
Don't listen
for
to
not
Sam.
for not fulfilling your obligation.
Yeah.
But it's a fantastic program. The education you get, you don't find in books. You can't.
No, and
This-
the connections that you
Yes.
make. You're going to be in DC or Jeff City, both trips. There's around 100 to 110 students from Missouri. That's a group of your peers that a lot of these kids stay in touch with afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
They end up, we've heard they room together in college,
Yeah.
and they stay in touch. Or a lot of these more recent years, we had a couple years we didn't go because of COVID, but they're kind of on their own doing these little reunion meetups because they've made such strong friendships while they're out there that they are able to stay in touch,
Mm-hmm. Right.
and then they kind of meet up and remain friends, which is really great.
You know, a lot of times, and especially today with social media, the kids don't see kids like they used to. One of the things that I always liked about sports is you have to get out of your comfort zone. Sometimes you're on one team, but you got to meet new people. Anytime you go on a team, you got to meet new people. And when you meet those new people, it's an opportunity for you to expand your horizons because you're going to learn about them. They're going to learn about you, and you have to listen. You have to do some things. And it really ends up being connections you use the rest of your life.
Yeah, exactly.
It is amazing how that works. So I highly recommend all these juniors, when they get done with this 2 weeks off that they have, to start sharpening up those pencils. You already know the topic.
You can kind of be brainstorming. You get
Absolutely.
a sneak peek at it.
Grandmas, grandpas, moms, dads out there listening, just say, hey, look, guys, this is an opportunity, and it's 500 words max.
Yeah, 250 to 500 words.
Max.
So you're talking about a page. This will not take long to write.
No.
And you could
And
win.
it's a topic that I could really get into.
And
Unlimited funds.
And hopefully the students do too. I mean, we don't want them to be burdened with a research paper on a topic that they just don't have any interest in or is confusing to them. I mean, when I first started, we had topics, we were asking the kids to write about deregulation and we want to see them engaged. We want to know what they're thinking. We want to know what they would do for their community.
That's
So
right.
not a right or wrong answer, kind of a what would you do? And we're interested to read these and see, and maybe it's something that the co-op will be able to help with after we've read them.
And something to see how these children view their community. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of times, every place, it's always greener on the other side of the fence. And a lot of people, well, as soon as I graduate, I'm out of here. Or as soon as I'm going to go over here, I'm going to go there, I'm going to go to college here, I'm going to go take a job over here. You know, I see it all the time. And then I see 5, 7, 8, 10 years later, them coming back.
Yeah.
Okay, it was always greener on the other side until they got there and they found out the same cow patties are on that side as there is on this side.
The family becomes more important.
Family becomes more important. Familiarity becomes more important.
Mm-hmm.
You know the area. You go some other place and you think, I want to go to St. Louis, or I'm going to go to Kansas City, I'm going to go to Columbia. I'm going to like it there better. It's a different lifestyle. If you hadn't grown up with that lifestyle, it may be a little bit too different for you. And it's just that way. I'm not saying you can't handle it. Sure, you can handle it. But for some good old boys that like it nice and slow and easy, you may not want to be heading to St. Louis or Kansas City. It's not so slow and easy there. Mm-hmm. And they might be demanding a little bit more out of you than what you really feel comfortable with. You just don't know what the expectations might be. So, you never know. I'll tell you, but it's sometimes fun to go to a different place to find out.
Yeah.
How that is before you start making that judgment call and saying, there's nothing here I want to stay for.
And if that's how you feel, what would you do for your community to make it better
Change
so
it.
that you would
That's right.
that you would
What
stay?
would make you stay?
And that's what you can write about
With your unlimited funds.
with your unlimited funds.
Gee, man, can we figure out how to make that real?
I know. I really am interested to see
Yeah.
what these kids have to say because they've got a different perspective than we do,
They do.
and it'll be interesting to see.
You're exactly right. I think it'd be a very interesting
Mm-hmm.
set of opinions and commentary
Mm-hmm.
coming out. And I'm not going to say the mouths of youths, but of that transitional period.
Yeah, that's very politically correct.
Well, I mean, it really is. Junior high school, that's pretty transitional. You're not the baby anymore in high school, so, but now you're
But
not
you're
the
not an
top dog
adult.
yet
Yeah.
either. So, you got that transition. What would you do? That's cool. I like that. It's a good topic. Did you think of that topic?
Maybe.
You won't admit it, will you? You did think of that topic. Yeah, good job, Heather. That's a good topic.
The co-ops are good. We talk about connections with these youth and the trip. We have connections amongst ourselves at the different co-ops across the state, and it's really good to be able to collaborate with them and sit down or email. We talk about staying in touch. Hey, what have you had kids write about in the past? What went well? What didn't go well? We can share about our program. They share about theirs, and you are able to brainstorm and generate some really good ideas. So I'm fortunate to have a great group of colleagues that I can sit down with and come up with great ideas like this. So
Well, Intercounty has so many great services, from all the wonderful things they have with Smart Hub to the great service. And you guys have had some outstanding topics before, like what kind of career would you like to have at Intercounty? I
Yeah.
mean, that's just different stuff. You'd probably never
Right.
think about that. All the way to the different high-tech things that are going on in Intercounty. We've got people like Tony working with businesses out there and that people don't think about. You've got other people helping in so many different capacities. You got buyers, you got sellers, you got different things going on. There's so many different positions, but all the different services you offer really make it complete, a very complete company. Co-op, I should say. I don't want to say company, but it acts like a company. It really
Right.
has to. It has to act like a business because it really is. But it's a co-op where you are a member. This is your co-op.
Right.
So if you've got questions about your co-op, anything going on in it, you have the right to get an answer.
yeah, so give us a call.
That makes it easy. And that phone number is
It is 866-621-3679.
easy to do. Also, you can email them and you can send them an email right through your Smart Hub account if you have that established.
You can, and if you visit our website at ieca.coop, COOP, you'll have a link there to access that, or you can download the Smart Hub app from your app store.
Don't forget, you can also pay online. We talked about it, but we didn't give the number.
On the phone? You
Yep.
pay on the phone? Yes. So our toll-free number for paying by the phone is 888-678-1987. And if you call our main line to make a payment, we'll transfer you to that number. But it's nice to have both stored in your phone because you can make the payments over that automated line anytime, day or night, which sometimes
It's very
the
needed.
due date creeps up on you, and it's nice to be able to, after business hours, go ahead and give that automated
That's
number
exactly
a call.
right. Same name as Smart Hub. You can pay that any time online as
Yes.
well. You can do that. Or the one-time payment button that's on
can, yep.
IECA.coop. It's right at the very top of the page. Can't miss it.
Lots
Or it
of
says
options.
access account right next to it. You can do both.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know that you
No, you can.
could do either.
Well, you can do one, and then you say, you know what? Maybe I should create an account.
Yeah.
So then next time I'd have to access my account.
Yeah.
you
Eases
go.
them into it.
There you go. Very good. Do you have an answer?
I do not, and I asked 3 different people, so I feel better that that I don't know the answer to the levelized billing question. But
But you're going to find out.
yes.
Now I've really got the curiosity up with 3 people and 1 here. That's 4
That's 4 of us.
that don't know an answer.
We don't. I don't even
I'm
know
just
if we
wondering if
have any.
anybody's ever asked. I'm sure they have.
Not one of the 4 of us.
Well, it's kind of just a crazy kind of question, but
Yeah.
it does make sense. If you were on a budget billing, it would be easier for a business to know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
We'll find out.
We're going to find out.
I said that last month.
We're going to know by next year.
we will. In 2023, we will have an answer.
There you go. Heather, thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you, Stan.
We wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas, the happiest of New Year's, and look
you.
forward to seeing you again in 2023.
Yeah, and to our members as well. Hopefully you get to spend some time with family and friends and stay warm and eat well and just enjoy the holidays.
Very good. Well, thank you again
Thank
for
you.
coming in. Being part of our day on KSMO, our interview with Intercounty Electric every second Tuesday. And we always appreciate having an opportunity to speak with them and get things up to date on what's going on with your co-op. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we will see you in next year.
That's right.
It's just hard to imagine saying that already. Thank you.